grasped it. New York, tonight you have delivered a mandate for change, a mandate for a new kind of politics, a mandate for a city we can afford, and a mandate for a government that delivers exactly that. Thank you to those so often forgotten who made this movement their own. Yemeni bodega owners and Mexican abuelas, Senegalese taxi drivers and Uzbek nurses, Trinidadian line cooks and Ethiopian aunties. Yes, aunties. This campaign is about people like Wesley, people like the woman I met on the BX 33 years ago, people like the taxi driver I went on a 15-day hunger strike with outside of City Hall. My brother, we are in City Hall now.
Hello, everybody. How we all doing, folks? Like the stream, T-Lape, I'm so sorry. I fell asleep multiple times today, and like I just got tired. I took a nap earlier, and I woke up, and I was just feeling so tired. And so instead of prepping stream or doing anything useful, I just fell asleep. And I slept late, and then my partner came home from work, and I cuddled her and put her to bed. And then I came down here to like do the stream, right? But I realized that people have been asking for the What If Alt Hist like Mouse Utopia video, Rat Utopia video he put out, and I kept telling people, oh, it's on the YouTube channel somewhere. And so I was like, oh, well, you know, some people in the comments are asking. I'll go get the link for them before I you know, start the stream. And I realized that it never made it into an official segment. So then I tracked down the live stream where I did and covered the Rat Utopia video and passed that along to my editor. So that will be coming to the YouTube. It will be a segment that you guys will be able to find. And I think I'm going to put together, one thing I've wanted to do for the channel is just put together playlists of different times I've covered different conservative, you know, shit heels. And so there should be like a What If Alt Hist playlist, like a Ben Shapiro playlist, etc. I think that would probably be really helpful for folks. Today was an EP sort of day. It was. Is it about rap men under New York City? No, sadly. God. So, found that for you guys. It just took me a long time of scrubbing through every single live stream from the past 3 months. Catabingo Rising Revengeance, it sucks! Is Asmongold one of the Ratmen that Curtis Sliwa has been hunting? No, you see, you guys have bought too much into Curtis Sliwa's frame on the Ratmen. The entire premise of Sliwa's hatred towards the Ratmen is fundamentally flawed. Where he sees not but vicious feral beasts aching to be put down. They have a rich and vibrant culture and society, and are a naturally peaceful people. And so, when you hear Curtis Lewa talking about the Ratmen, they are not like it's supposed to make you wonder who is more the monster, the Ratmen, or simply man. And I think Asmongold answers that question. Hello, Jazz Dog. How long you planning to go on for? Probably for a while. I want to finish the Alchemy What If Alt Hist video, and I want to watch the next Star Trek film, because I've been telling you guys all week that we will do that, and things just keep thinging. So I want to get through those two things. And also, I slept. I took 2 naps today, so like I'm more awake than I should be at this time. Hello, Latzia. Hello, JD Eagles. Hello, Cute Dark Arts. Hello, Kiva Induffer. Hello, Rhymejack. Hello, Gamma02. Why is Jack always live so late? Because I have to do things during the daytime. Like, I don't have a day job, but I have a lot of day commitments, a lot of day responsibilities. Maybe one day I'll talk about those on stream, but not today. I'm timid tonight. Hi, Timid. I'm Mom. Much love to you, Jazz Dog. Also, I fucking love the finished version of Against All Odds. It's a great song. Yo, Latzia, you're wearing Imogene Olivia tonight? Hell yeah! I'm really glad you like it. Consider leaving a review, if you'd be so kind. Oh, damn, we streaming late tonight? Yeah, we streaming late. We didn't finish that. No, we did not finish the Alchemy video yet. We finished a section of it. There's about, I think, like 20 minutes left? 10 minutes left?
And it's the geography.
About 15 minutes left. All right. We can do that. We can do 15 minutes. Given how hard it is to distinguish Asmongold from a Ratman, I'm not sure it resolves much. Well, no. But you guys are thinking that, like, Ratmen are uncivilized creatures that live in their own sewage. No, they have a thriving metropolis down there. They've got all kinds of fanciful technology we could only dream of. The closest we've come is the Jules Verne type of steampunk future that many of you are part of the subculture around, but that really doesn't do it justice. They value cleanliness, they value scientific inquiry and rational debate. And Asmongold, meanwhile, is a creature that lives in his own filth, surrounded by crusted blood and guts and viscera that he has spread around his nest like a truly degenerate monster. What about the reactionary brain-rotted Ratmen? Aren't they an aggressive and xenophobic faction? Surprisingly, and there's been some back and forth on this, but it seems the Ratmen are less prone to reactionary, brain-rotted, responses than human beings. It's an interesting development, but not, obviously one we can work with. Asmongold is Nurgle's strongest worshipper. He really is. Hello, GamerG. Hello, Shakespeare. Friend was blasting me for wanting to buy a Steam frame when they come out because, oh, I don't need a VR headset. Am I even going to play it? Just finished watching a video going over the software contracting Valve did in the open source community. Like, Valve is going to usher in a new era of computing if they keep doing what they're doing. Yeah, I mean, I got nothing against VR. The Steam frame looks cool. So far, VR has not been my thing, but I imagine the technology is getting better all the time. Hello, Addercop. I saw you posting in the Twitch stream when no one else was here. You were technically the first one. Hello, the Death of Death. All right. You know, it's probably going to be a smaller stream tonight. I don't blame you guys. But reminder, we're going to watch Heat Vision and Jack if we get 500 subs. So consider dropping those subs and donos. Like the stream. And we're gonna get diving into this, shall we? Good evening, Xenogenesis. They are too few because the rat men prioritize education. Indeed. They have a rich and vibrant social system down there that prioritizes safety nets and a variety of inquiry-based educational initiatives. Oh, wait, T-Life, you don't know what Heat Vision and Jack is? Well, I'm happy to show you guys the tantalizing preview once more. Here, the first 3 minutes.
Hello, America. I'm Ben Stiller. In 1992, I had a show here on Fox. They ridiculed me for my effort. I was canceled. Then, I won this. It's called an Emmy. Let's change cameras. Now, having returned to television a wealthy and powerful man, I've directed an incredible new action series called Heat Vision and Jack. In it, we follow the adventures of a super intelligent renegade astronaut and his talking motorcycle. Some of you will marvel at our state-of-the-art special computerized effects, which, quite frankly, rival those of a certain new Star Wars movie. Some of you will be frightened or aroused. Still others may be entertained.
PC Schwarz, I'm glad.
As a person you admire, I'm giving you permission to appreciate this show. I'm also offering you my personal guarantee that it's going to knock you back onto your coal mining asses. And that's a promise you won't be hearing from Georgie Lucas. Hey there, Mr. Beard. How many Emmys do you have? Once again, America, I give you what you want.
My friend Jack says the universe is infinite. He says you could travel forever and never reach the edge. I say the edge is where you find it.
Oh, it gets by, Carter. Carter goes back to Jason Johnson, takes off
Oh,
the third
yeah,
Johnson.
Jason.
It's gonna be
Come on,
Carter's
use both
close enough. He
shoes.
throws into Rado, who's covering, and it's gonna be...
Good night, CMH.
Jack Austin, astronaut. Exposed to inappropriate levels of solar energy.
Sunlight makes him the world's smartest man.
I know everything! I want that brain taken out.
Heat Vision, the motorcycle with the mind of Jack's unemployed roommate. Together they run for their lives, blocked at every turn by adventure.
Move out, don't mess around. Move out, you bring me down. Move out, I forget about, don't make the sound. Just move out.
Knowledge is power, for real.
So that is Heat Vision and Jack, a show that got one episode, directed by Ben Stiller. Obviously, it stars Jack Black and Owen Wilson, and also was written by Dan Harmon, the guy who did Community and Rick and Morty. So like it is surprising amount of like comedic talent went into this pilot, and I am convinced that if this came out today, people would watch it with hopeless abandon. Special effects to rival Star Wars. They turned a man into a motorcycle. It's like magic. Adult Swim, get on it, right? Anyway, that's what happens at 500 subs, and also you just get the pleasure of knowing you're supporting a little independent content creator. There you go, nailed it. Well, yeah, booze doesn't really help with the tooth pain, Catabingo. It's teeth are connected directly into your nervous system, so not much helps. I have not watched that shoot bang. Not a man, the man, Owen Wilson, indeed. Wow. All right. Let's fulfill the bargain. The youngest of Jack Blacks back in the original Tenacious D days. Long before Jack Black. Jack Black, I think you mean Steve from Minecraft. Also, did you guys know that apparently there is a cut of the Minecraft movie with none of the special effects? Recently that got leaked.
Welcome to... Welcome to Steve! Turns out pandas love to party. And cows!
It's so weird. It's so weird.
Hey Jack, still catching up, but I wanted to say after watching your autism communication crash out, I felt really seen and related a lot. Much enjoy the segment, thank you.
I'm really glad. I felt really vulnerable after that, Nathan, so I appreciate the support. Thank you. The trombone champ thumbnail taunts us. It does. If anyone drops 10 subs, we drop everything for Our Lady of Toots. God, can I just I want to share this animated scene from I think it's Make Some Noise. It's just one of the best bits I've ever seen. Since you're delving into the insane, well, let me take a look at this. HyperNet Explorer. Well, I will definitely check this out. This looks fun.
Kermit the Frog representing himself on a murder charge.
It's so fucking good.
Golly, I understand that the prosecution has presented a really compelling case.
Here you go. Go check it out,
obviously,
please.
Fozzie Bear was a close friend.
Oh, no.
But ask yourself this question. If I were to be the one that killed Fozzie Bear, why would I have recorded going to see him alone that night? Wouldn't I have wanted to cover that up? Doesn't this speak that I've been framed? My name written in the ledger of the motel was written in pink glittery ink.
And you'll have to watch the rest of it for the conclusion. I linked it in all the chats, so please check it out. It's really fucking good. Can you show the first minute of this for old time's sake? What is this?
Do you seriously think that I have a single person in my life that I should be getting?
I don't know that I can actually show the first minute of this, because The Onion, it definitely has some copyright stuff, but maybe it will show a couple seconds.
Do you seriously think that I have a single person in my life that I should be getting a gift for?
I assume most people do.
You think that I have friends?
Yeah.
So name one of my friends.
I could buy so much more for $99. I could buy a new car.
I'm admittedly not an expert, but I'm pretty sure most cars cost more than $99.
See, that's the problem with all you Onion people. You all think most cars cost more than $99.
So your whole argument...
It is really good. I've enjoyed all of their surrounded episodes. The Onion is doing the greatest journalistic work. I mean, to be honest, it's more honest journalism than what conservatives put out these days. That's okay, Taz Millie Zero. I know I'm late. I fell asleep. It's a really brilliant sales pitch. It has like 420,000 views. All right. Here we go. Also, just want to say, Nathan, thank you for being the first person to support the stream tonight. Very much appreciated. Let me see here. So, folks, we are in the final stretch of the What If Altist New Age Alchemy video, where, again, for some reason, he thinks it would be a good idea to take the principles of alchemy as universal constants or useful lenses to use for analyzing modern-day politics. And I still am baffled as to what use he gets out of it, exactly. It seems like you're just doing... honestly, it just seems like you're confusing yourself, but with extra steps. And, maybe he'll get to the final argument here, but a lot of it is just like, alchemy. There are concepts in alchemy. What if you applied alchemical concepts to politics? And, well, what if you did? Like, I don't think it would help you in any way. I don't think that would be a useful lens. Sometimes lenses aren't useful in different situations. That's why photographers have like a bunch of different ones. So anyway, let's just jump right in. We've got like 15 minutes of it left, which, sounds like it's not going to take us a long time. But don't hold your breath.
Materia for a human is a child, and for a land, it's the geography. And
I'm already mad. The prima materia for a human is a child, and for the land, it's the land. Yeah, like the geography is just like the natural formations of the land. Okay, all right.
Spengler was a very hardcore Hermetic, where his world.
Spengler was also a Nazi, but you know, moving beyond that, I guess. And you might be like, "Oh, Jack, Spengler eventually disavowed the Nazis." Yeah, because he viewed them as too like of the people. Like he was a bad dude who literally voted for Hitler, by the way.
View.
Also, Salmon Moose, thank you for the tier 4 sub. Very much appreciated. And that'll get you that'll get you up to 19 subs for the towards the goal. Thank you very, very much for supporting stream.
Only makes sense through the perspective of Hermeticism. And so what he was talking about is how the soul of civilizations stem from
the Spenglerian civilizations. You've got Indian. Okay, like, this is what gets me about all of his maps. The formatting is not consistent, right? You have Babylonian, Indian, the Chinese, and then Egypt. Why not Egyptian?
And 2 is 10.
Why not Egyptian? What? Also, why is Europe Faustian? What are you talking about? I hate this map. Every one of these is a chance of gaining brain cancer. I swear to God. All right. Well, real quick. Salmon Moose has invoked her ancient right to the tradition of Our Lady of Toots. So, folks, strap in. She Coleman. What speed, Salmon Moose? Baseline? Remember, you can donate $5 or that equivalent in memberships and subs to make it faster or slower. Base speed? Okay. Let me double check. Hello, Just to be here.
Slower.
Your wish is my command, Archangel. Great, I'm in a parking lot waiting to pick up my wife, and knowing my luck, she's gonna walk into this? Oh, probably. Baby. Why slow it down? Because we got a bunch of chaos gremlins in chat. I need a version of this video that just slowly zooms in on the bear's eyes in the background. Just one long zoom. Slower, please. All right.
Slayer Plaza 3.
Nocturnal 8999. Thank you for the $5 super chat. I hope for Christmas you get cold. Super Jet Guy? Probably not. Maybe. If I practiced. Hello, Bisbee. Oh, God. Oh, God. Ooh, baby. Oh, God. There we go! We did it! We made it through! Woo! Alright. That brought us up to 23 out of 500. Let's go! And, ladies and gentlemen, you just listened to the Decline of Society. Decline of Society, by the way, my next band name. It hurts my soil every time I see it. Jack, can I get a congrats on today being 2 years since my egg crack and coming out day? Congratulations, Gamer G. It's a good day and a very difficult day sometimes. About as good as you can do when your trombone is forged of clownium. Oh, God. My dream band name is Angel Deathfuck. I like it. Hell yeah. All right. Let's continue with our What If Alt Hist adventure. Back to this horrifying map of just that it's just dog shit. Like, if you're gonna use the EN ending for Indian, Apollonian, Faustian, Babylonian, why didn't you use Egyptian? Come on, man.
Talking about is how the soul of civilizations stem from their prima materia or their geography, which they then had to work from. Part 5, as it always was. There's this meme with two spacemen where one says, blank thing is blank, and then the other spaceman with a gun behind him says, as it always was.
You know, another word for spaceman would be astronaut. Also, you script out these videos. You could just look up the meme. It's not difficult to do.
I'm going to get that wrong, but it doesn't matter. I'm going to show you how this arcane philosophy you've never heard of has always been an undercurrent to Western history, often to an enormous degree. You'll possibly be surprised, and it really shows how often we miss the true character or nature of the past as we try to study it. The origins of the Hermetica initially lie in Egypt. This was part of the reason for the enormous interest in Egyptology in 19th century Europe, as European intellectuals were trying to find more Hermetic documents. The Hermetica was built around the Egyptian god Thoth, who was an Egyptian version of the Greek god Hermes.
God, please. Oh God, are we genuinely... Oh God, are we genuinely gonna get, like, an Emerald Tablet situation? Are we gonna get, like, the Spirit Science crossover? Are we gonna get the Spirit Science, Happy Science crossover with What If Alt Hist? Is it finally going to converge? I've been predicting this for ages. Are we actually gonna have it happen? I've been making jokes about that forever. Oh, please. Please.
Hermes Trismegistus and the Hermetica
God! Let's go.
Match older Egyptian belief structures more than they do anything the Greeks had beforehand. So all the evidence points to this being a very ancient worldview, one stemming back to perhaps the pyramids. Pharaonic Egyptian art is covered in Hermetic symbolism, as this book talks about. What happened after Alexander?
God, if he starts talking about how Thoth is actually beneath the pyramids or the Sphinx, with his astrally projected spaceship, I'm gonna fucking lose it.
The Great's conquest of Egypt was that the Greeks tried to rationally integrate lots of Oriental traditions, a lot older or deeper than what the Greeks themselves had. A few centuries earlier, a lot of Plato's philosophy, as he himself said, came from the Egyptian royal teachings, or a predecessor to the Hermetica, which he got when he visited Egypt. The Greeks tried to explain the Egyptian religious teachings in a rational manner. This was a period of a lot of religious diversity and syncretism, with the Hermetica just being one thread of many, which included Christianity.
Yeah, of course, his interest in Nazi esotericism would be aided by looking back at another point in time when there was just a bunch of this syncretism going on. Yeah. This is like the least surprising thing about What If Alt Hist ever.
Another Oriental Greek mix alongside Platonism, Mithraism, Isis, Cybele, Gnosticism, or so many others. This is why the Hermetica has so many similarities with other beliefs.
The shared vibe of a lot of the Hellenistic East Mediterranean... I'm sorry, just real quick. Okay, I'm not insane. I hit Mediterranean, but that's not how you spell Mediterranean. And like it literally caused me to have like a mental speed bump. Cuz that is spelled Mediterranean. There are 2 R's and 1 N, which makes a big difference in how you speak the word. But okay, whatever. Mediterranean civilizations is a lot of world weariness combined with civilization, cultivation, and emphasis on a universal morality built off something like love, but you can pick other approximate virtues. Oh god, Jack, I don't feel very good. Yeah, look guys, that's just your brain throttling off oxygen, okay? Don't worry about it too much. I notice this culture since it's very distinct. Okay, wait. The Hellenistic East Mediterranean isn't one civilization or one culture. Then he goes on to say, but I noticed this culture, since it's very distinct either from a purely Oriental tradition like Buddhism or Taoism, which see the world as both sort of balanced or stable but lacked direction. Meanwhile, you have the sort of hyper-individualistic, insane, and heavy metal religions you see from the steppe nomads, Vikings, or Native Americans. The rise of the East Mediterranean religious vibe is an outcome of Greek logic? No. There were so many other religious vibes and traditions that predate the Greek logic system. Also, you misspelled Mediterranean again. Combined with the Near East's religious mystic depths in large, depersonalized slave empires where people didn't feel like they had agency. I'm gonna stop you real quick. Because a lot of people didn't have agency in any of these societies. If you were born a serf, you basically stayed a serf. There wasn't like this social mobility, really. It's why they had empire and like bureaucracy and like educated priesthood classes, and like there in a lot of these civilizations you were locked out by virtue of who you were born to and locked into a certain role in life, and that was what you had forever. That's what you had to look forward to for all of your days. God. Hey Jack, you know how you want that trombone champ video, but it zooms in on the bear's eyes? Yes, cute dark arts. Okay, but back to this. I notice it since if you look at certain religions like Gnosticism, Hermeticism, or Platonism, they sort of converge in a lot of ways due to shared context. They all assume a sort of reasonable world. Uh-huh. Yeah, there's no way any other religious traditions could assume reasonableism in the universe.
Beliefs in that area or that time, I've found there's a very palpable East Mediterranean religious vibe that they all share. In this Hellenistic stew of many different worldviews and religions clashing, the Hermetica mixed a lot with early Christianity as it took over the Roman Empire. Lots of elements of the Christian cosmology have Hermetic origins, and the majority of the fathers of the early church, people far more Christian than anyone today, saw the Hermetica as a valid intellectual tradition. Much like the rest of Greco-Roman classical civilization, they onboarded into early Christianity like Plato and Aristotle. An important thing to keep in mind is that these people...
Yeah, one of the things that I really fucking hate, right, is this idea that, like, oh yeah, no, Rome only onboarded those ideas. Rome only onboarded the ideas that I personally like, because they came from cultures I deem as superior to others. You know, that's what he's basically saying here. And, like, Rome absorbed a lot of influence from a lot of different cultures, a lot of different empires, a lot of different peoples. And, like, when you're trying to say, like, oh yeah, no, it only absorbed these, it didn't. It absorbed so many more.
Saw Christianity as a spiritual path to reach the kingdom of heaven, which is how I see it too. One of the side effects of modernity was Christianity removing God.
One thing I would say is, again, one of the keys that I think will open this subject for a lot of people is to look up the different religious councils that emperors of Rome intervened in, specifically for Christianity, and, like, understand that, like, what was happening was a combination of religious maneuvering and political maneuvering. And often those two things are very much the same, at least as regards Christianity and the Roman Empire. It's just, he has both a very broad view of the world so that he can paint different civilizations with a broad brush, but also will then snap his focus down at the expense of other pertinent details of different historical events. It's frustrating to see.
Or the mystic from its religion, and then making Christianity a social or ethical code. The thing is, that wasn't the intention, and is why Christian regimes in the past did...
Did Rome rewrite the Bible? Not directly, but one could interpret the intervention in the Council of Nicaea as being something like that.
Didn't love thy neighbor to their geopolitical rivals, or why equality before God did not extend to a world where kings and nobility ruled the peasantry. For Christian things...
Oh my god, what? I'm sorry, I missed...
Was Christianity removing God or the mystic from its religion and then making Christianity a social or ethical code. The thing is, that wasn't the intention, and is why Christian regimes in the past didn't love thy neighbor to their geopolitical rivals, or why equality before God...
Well, their geopolitical rivals were directly related to, like, religious schisms, and oftentimes during the time period you're talking about. Like, the love your neighbor thing definitely applied to those who shared your specific religion, but after, like, the advent of Protestantism, and honestly before that too, when it came to any kind of heretical sect, love your neighbor was not implemented. Like, again, he's like, well, but in the past, Christianity all loved their neighbor because Christianity embraced God and godliness. It was only modernity
Genghis
that
Khan
stripped
thought
God
the
out of
Bible
it.
was metal AF, so he wrote to the Pope, I am the judgment of God, and then wrecked their shit till he died of alcoholism.
Honestly, cool as hell. Less cool the mountains of skulls of the innocent, but that's a pretty metal thing to write to a pope. And Magar, thank you very much for the $5 super chat. Very much appreciated. But again, like, when a sect was deemed heretical in the early Christian church, they were hounded out of like the pockets that the mainstream Christian church controlled. Like, and you can find different offshoots of Christianity that survive to this day, that were hounded out of the civilizational influence of mainstream Christianity. I think like the Coptic Christians are an example of this, I believe. Um, in Egypt, but a lot of this is like rose-colored glasses, but for some reason arbitrarily, you look back at like 1,000 years ago, and then 1,000 years before that you put on the rose-colored glasses for some reason. I don't understand it.
God did not extend to a world where kings and nobility ruled the peasantry.
Also, God did extend to that world, except that God was reinterpreted as through by the way, a proto-fascistic worldview and interpretation of religious text, that because God exists in a hierarchy with God at the top and a variety of creatures underneath him, like this spiritual kingdom, right? You got the archangels, the angels, etc. So too must human beings seek to emulate that social structuring. And so that was then used to kind of justify the divine right of kings, that if God did not want a king to be in charge, then they would not be in charge, but since they are, God wills it, right? And so therefore hierarchical kingdoms with absolute power on the top were justified via religious rhetoric, right? Hello, Liz Galahad.
For Christian thinkers of this era, the Hermetica didn't contradict Christ, since they had different goals. Christianity was to reach the kingdom of heaven through the cross, and the Hermetica was for those weirdos at the edge of consciousness. The problem now is that due to science, that consciousness evolution has become part of the society's operating system to deal with the sheer speed of social change, which was not necessary 1,000 years ago. The Dark Ages saw a decrease in interest of the Hermetica since education got worse enough across the board in Europe that there wasn't as much interest in consciousness development.
When you say consciousness development, what do you mean? Because there were definitely still like scientists. There were definitely still philosophers. There were definitely still people thinking, learning, inventing, and doing shit. But when you say consciousness development, what does that mean? Because I take it you don't just mean guy researching a topic. It feels like you mean something way more specific. Like almost like transcendental, like some kind of thinker that's trying to use meditation to reach a higher plane of awareness. And like as far as we know, there aren't higher planes of awareness. That's not a thing. At least that has been demonstrable. So I'm a bit confused here. Also, just throwing out there, during the Dark Ages, there were absolutely still Hermeticists. Like, there were absolutely still people who studied those texts. It would have been like included in at least some of the materials that people were taught among the aristocracy, because again, even though broader educational efforts might have collapsed during the Dark Ages, the aristocracy continued to have the resources to learn from older thinkers and writers, and would have libraries, etc., as like evidence of social status. So I'm not sure what he's talking about.
However, the period of world history where the Hermetica was most influential was the Islamic Golden Ages, which ended around the time of the Crusades. Alchemy is an Arabic word, and Europe reintegrated these teachings from the Arabs or Byzantines during the Crusades, much like lots of other exotic religious ideas or classical authors went back to Europe. Several cities in Iraq and Syria declared Hermeticism as their official religion during the collapse of the Abbasid Caliphate around 1,000 years ago. Hermeticism then started to ramp up over the High Middle Ages and reached a new peak of popularity in Western civilization during the Renaissance in 16th century. As said before, the Renaissance is the single era of history most colored by Hermeticism, where I might even argue Hermeticism was the biggest component in the Renaissance. It explains the emphasis on humanism, a Hermetic ideal, the nude, the beauty of art which Hermetics use to spot spiritual intuitions, studying the classics to gain wisdom, and promoting the chaotic beauty of the Renaissance. If there's any given society where lots of people used their will to powers to try to transcend through constant bloody competition.
Actually, just as an FYI, remember how you mentioned like the Dark Ages, right? Yeah. During the time period he showed on screen, which was around 400 CE, that was right after the vast majority of what we currently have regarded as like the religious body of the Hermetica was codified. There was like a 200, 300 year period where they codified that. And one of the things that is worth mentioning is that people wrote extensively after that for like the next 1,000 years. Like, monks would dedicate like their entire lives to translating these books out of Arabic and into like their various languages, or out of Greek and into their various languages, because again, one of the big areas of the world, and I guess I should be large screen for this. One of the big areas of the world, the Islamic empires, they were the ones who preserved a lot of this writing and a lot of this material. And in fact, one of the largest, if not the largest collection of works attributed to the Hermetica is largely still untranslated from Arabic, because much like a lot of other materials, a lot of the libraries from the Islamic empires, they survived. Unlike libraries in Europe, where not so much, preservation was not as good. And yeah, of course, in some cases, Hermetic texts were viewed as heretical. So, it really depended. With the religious wars, constantly this stuff was being destroyed in Europe proper, which is again why the largest bulk of it is in Arabic.
It's the Italian Renaissance. Artistic beauty in the Hermetica is an external sign of integration on a variety of levels, either for people, art, or a species. Cosimo de' Medici, one of the most important Renaissance men, was absolutely obsessed with the Hermetica, as was Leonardo da Vinci. The Vitruvian Man by da Vinci is one of the most overtly Hermetic things you will ever see. We've spoken before about how almost all of the thinkers in early science were Hermetics, between Isaac Newton, who drew most of the laws of physics from the Hermetica, and 1/3 of his library was on the topic. Galileo, Copernicus, and especially Bruno all developed their theories from Hermetic concepts. John Dee, Queen Elizabeth's top advisor for periods of her reign, was obsessed with the Hermetica. He made the Enochian language to commune with angels.
Oh, well, good for him.
Predicted that the core of
I'm sorry, you just randomly throw that out there, and I'm like, bro, you think that this guy, for real life, made a language capable of communicating with angels, and you just mention it offhand and don't go any deeper than that? Like, no, like, pause for a second. Explain that. Is it, like, are the angels demonstrable? Can I use Enochian language to talk to them? Can I mail them a letter? Like, how does it work? Tolkien made up a whole language, so there, true. That's if you want to talk to the elves.
Saxon culture would end up in North America, formed the British secret police and the idea of the British Empire, alongside being one of the pioneers of science.
Man, what an accomplishment, forming the proto-Gestapo.
Loss of the Renaissance man to the world has been a true tragedy. By the 16th century, every major...
I'm sorry, what? The loss of the Renaissance man? Okay, but, like, I'm sorry, there's a reason why the term Renaissance man still exists in, like, colloquial culture, and it's because there are still Renaissance men. All it means is someone who is very skilled in a wide variety of ways, and that still exists to this day. Like, who was the actress who invented, like, wireless communication technology? Yeah, Hedy Lamarr. Hedy Lamarr, incredible actress, super gorgeous, invented the technology that is literally the basis of your Bluetooth technology in your headphones. Like, I don't know, the Renaissance men still exist, except sometimes they're women. Yeah, you got a cell phone? Hedy Lamarr made that possible because she got a big old brain. She got a big old noggin, and also was just cool as fuck. Except something tells me that What If Alt Hist would have a problem with someone like her being referred to as a Renaissance man. You know, I got that feeling in my tummy.
To the world has been a true tragedy. By the 16th century, every major royal court in Europe had...
Wait, I'm sorry. Is this a painting of wizards? They have two ghosts behind them, and they've summoned an angel in their orb, and this guy's just going, "What the fuck?" Nah, bro, it's okay. She's in the orb. They're orbing. Hey, we're orbing here. I guess this is when you use the Enochian language to riz yourself an angel. The highest level alchemy. You have to ask if Full Metal Alchemist is anywhere close to an approximation. What did they give up to have to summon an angel?
Hired a department in Hermetic experts. These were ideas that were widely entrenched among the upper classes.
Not very good art, bread into toast. What? It's as good as this one. Look, this virtually identical.
In sort of wandering philosopher types, which the general public wasn't aware of. The papacy even funded wide-scale research of the Hermetica, and it was canon in the Catholic Church that Hermes Trismegistus was a progenitor of Jesus, while being widely used in papal art. However, something happened in the 17th century that killed the Hermetica as a powerful cultural current in Western civilization. The West went through an enormous intellectual shift in the mid to late 17th century, which took a few hundred years to really set in among the general public.
Please, I feel like I know exactly what's coming. Is he gonna... Is this where he starts shit-talking the Enlightenment? Is this where he starts shit-talking the Enlightenment? Please. I can feel it coming in my bones.
But when it did, it amounted to a new civilization, that being modernity. Tarnas has called this the Galileo-Spinoza-Descartes axis. What these thinkers did was separate the scientific from the divine. Before this, science fit into being part of a religious worldview, where the search for science was part of understanding God's plan.
Yeah, okay, when he's talking about the beginning of modernity, he's talking about the Enlightenment. And one of the hallmarks of a lot of fascists and fascist thinkers is a rejection of Enlightenment values, because that's where you get things like egalitarianism. It's where you get like the bedrock for, the modern incarnations of democracy. It's where you get like a lot of these anti-fascist ideas that reject hierarchy based on bullshit like bloodlines. And something tells me that a rejection of right to rule on the basis of bloodlines is something that Rudyard Lynch cannot stand. Just at the very least, his political ideology is incompatible with that.
Plan that as you discovered the world, you discovered yourself and God, which is a very Hermetic concept. In the Hermetic worldview, nature is a book that we must learn to read from. This deserves to be a video in its own right, but what happened in the 17th century was that science and religion were totally divorced, as obviously seen in the Descartes mind-body distinction, which doesn't fit in with any of the science now, which is closer to the older Hermetic mind-body-soul holistic relationship. Descartes said that God and spirituality existed purely in our minds, and the only way to understand the outside world was through material science. This became the dominant philosophy.
Well, yeah, the only way you can come to replicable truths about the world is through material sciences. Yes. Actually. Like, you can find personal truth via introspection, but like, if you're gonna try and declare truths about other people or other circumstances outside of yourself, you're gonna need to rely on some kind of codified system of fact-checking and verification. And that's what science is at its heart.
School ever since in Western civilization, since the governments of that era were tired of waging centuries of religious wars, and so made a deal with the churches to shut off mysticism in order to maintain control.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry. So in What If Alt Hist's mind, there's just like some kind of, I don't know, global council amongst the Christian religions where they were just like, okay, folks, instead of fighting all these wars, let's drop this idea of mysticism. And everyone was like, okay. And then peace reigned. That's not how that... One, that didn't happen. And two, religious wars continued. Like, I mean, let me just pull this up here. Yeah, okay. Yeah, for the next like 200 years following the Enlightenment, there were wide-scale religious wars. Just to name a few of them, like the German city-states were constantly at war between the Catholic church and the Protestant churches. Like, and then you had different religious schisms follow the initial Protestantism. Like, I just... the wars that were fought over the thrones of nations during this like 200, 300 year period were quite literally done over which religious, like which leader of which religious persuasion would sit the throne. It was actually like an ongoing conflict that in no way stopped because of the Enlightenment. Man, this guy just does not look this shit up.
The death of the mystic in the long term poisoned both religion and science. Without an appeal to genuine in-person connection with God, under which both Protestantism and Catholicism were founded, religion just became a series of rules, not a living, breathing connection to the divine.
So, I'm also just going to throw this out there. The vast majority of people who lived, worked, and died in Europe didn't believe in the concept of a personal connection with God. To like your everyday peasant who was of a certain religious persuasion, right? You didn't have a personal relationship with God. Your personal relationship with God was run through your local church, through your local clergy. Like, people weren't even taught how to read the religious texts. They didn't know what it said unless the priest told them. So in the eyes of, like, the vast majority of people in Europe, for, like, over 1,000 years, the relationship between them and God was really just the relationship between them and their local priest. Wasn't that one of the big points of the Protestant Reformation? It was. But even so, I believe post-Reformation, post like the Protestant schism, like a lot of the religious texts continued to be written in a language that was not accessible to lay parishioners, you know? Like it didn't make religion that much more accessible, and like the concept of a personal relationship where you didn't really need your priest or your pastor. You could just pray directly to God rather than through saints or through your local priest. And so yeah, no, most people viewed religion as a secondary set of laws. Or in some cases, in more theocratic kingdoms, like a actual set of just laws.
Removal of the Hermetic framework also turned off the very intelligent from religion.
And yes, Martin Luther did translate the Bible, but also most people were completely illiterate. Like, even if you handed a peasant a Bible, they wouldn't be able to read it even in their native language. And like, that still gatekept a lot of folks.
Since it felt like...
And not to mention the fact that like Bibles just weren't easy to come by, you know, like until you had the printing press. And even then, after the proliferation of the printing press.
Are being condescended to, told to just believe it because that's the rules. Over time, this added up, as most of the geniuses were doubting of Christianity for several centuries. However, you saw a parallel dynamic where science became totally divorced from humanity, turning into a soulless Frankenstein monster with no ability to interface with values, the divine, or humanity. This is what created the soulless, dehumanizing, sterile world we live in now. Hermeticism did survive after this point, but by retreating into secret associations. The elites knew these concepts and kept to themselves, but you can still see these principles applied. The Rosicrucians in Germany were overt Hermetics, as were the Freemasons, which is how these ideas were spread around the time of the American Revolution, as we talked about before. I think the Founding Fathers put up these monuments or symbols in our currency as a wink and nod to future generations to check these ideas out when things got bad.
Yeah, it was a secret message from they were just making references. They were definitely making references, but it's not like a look to Hermeticism when the skies darken and the times get hard.
Alternately, look at the popularity of obelisks or Egyptology in Napoleonic Europe, alongside Napoleon and Josephine being called Mars and Isis, which was just common parlance at the time, but also part of the Hermetic lore. There's a whole trajectory of crypto-Hermetic philosophers over this time period. Hermetics often speak in code, which I didn't do for this video, but you can see it in a bunch of other Hermetic philosophers. Hegel, Schelling, Nietzsche, Carlyle, Gustav.
God. Okay. How Hermeticism drove so many Western philosophers. Nietzsche, fairly overt. He uses a German word for transmutation to talk about a holistic, body-oriented, masculine, magi new philosophy. Says it's based off evolution and the creation of a superhuman form of moral knowledge. Henry Bergson, he talks about the creation of life charge, which allows humans to become more divine, bemoans the death of culture with modernity. Well, I mean, obviously, if Bergson was talking about life charge, then he must have known a thing or two. Schelling fairly directly references the Hermetica with his future philosophy. Hegel literally used the exact system of Hermeticism to write a history. Carlyle uses Hermetic theories of consciousness and history applied to leaders. Gustav Le Bon uses Hermetic theories of evolution, leadership, and psychology. Carl Jung built his entire system of psychology based off Hermeticism, which probably explains why it's a load of horse shit and has been largely debunked in modern day psychology. Evola straight up has written multiple books on Hermeticism and says so. Peterson pulls from Jung and literally talks about the Hermetica. Yeah.
Le Bon, Henri Bergson, and later Evola or Peterson were all philosophers who manifested worldviews that had to be based.
They didn't logically come up with their worldviews. They didn't come to their worldviews via in-depth thought and consideration. No, they manifested their worldviews out of the ether, you see. They took the luminous prima materia of the mind and formed it, manifested it with their wills. God. So stupid.
Off the Hermetica. Read this text wall for more info.
I'm really sad that I read this text wall for more info.
They knew these ideas had value.
Also, again, you script these videos. You can just read the text wall instead of putting up a wall of text and saying, read the text wall. Fuck you.
Just look at Nietzsche, for example, who talks about life affirmation, overcoming higher and lower forms, magi, building your own value system rather than relying on others, and so many things that only make sense in the Hermetic paradigm.
Yeah, thinking for yourself could never make sense outside of the Hermetic paradigm. Yeah, life affirmation could never happen outside of the Hermetica. Evola, the spirit fascist guy. Yeah, I was going to take a look at that. Isn't that Curtis Evola? Julius Evola. Oh, yes, Julius Evola, the guy who called himself a super fascist, and that's not... That I'm not even being facetious about that. He called himself super fascista. God.
Lying on others, and so many things that only make sense in the Hermetic paradigm. When he talks about the Übermensch and the transmutation of morality, he's literally using a German word from the Hermetica for the transmutation of forms. He's recommending using the Hermetic framework of developing your own moral code. Once this clicked, I couldn't unsee it. With all of this being said, the rise of the Industrial Revolution and with democracy, the Hermetica just didn't make it. In the 20th century, the mass society of consumerism and doing what was popular to the average voter simply had no place for the Hermetica. It was too complicated, hard, and not directly scientific in the way they understood that word. Only a few utter schizos, like Evola or Bergson, kept the torch going. Carl Jung was the singular figure most responsible for keeping the Hermetica alive in recent times through framing it brilliantly so through psychological terms.
Except the problem with that is that it's not helpful in psychological terms. That's the big issue here, is that trying to frame it through psychological terms didn't in fact like accomplish anything useful for people who were seeking therapeutic intervention, right? Like, sure, it's really fun to just apply it as a concept. It lends itself to some unique D&D world building, I suppose, but it does not, in fact, actually map onto human experience.
Peterson got it from Jung and repopularized it to a certain degree today. That's why I know about it. However, at the very same time, we constructed a society which needed the Hermetica more than ever. With the title of this video, will the Hermetica become the next ideology in the West? The short answer is I don't know. Probably not at the current trajectory, in that this is, as of now, a dead nerd religion, totally unpalatable to moderns. That being said, we do have genuine agency here. The reason I gave this video the clickbait title is that I think this could work. I started my journey looking for ideas that could give us the will to live. The Hermetica puts growth and progress as a moral good, but does so through responsibility and humanity. The Hermetica has a framework to get people to make babies again without being cruel by
What? I'm sorry, we're at an hour and 31 minutes and 30 seconds in, and we have 1 minute of this left, and you're just casually throwing out now that you think the Hermetica holds the secret to making people want to fuck? That's absolutely not the case. Having watched this entire video and attempted to break it down to the best of my ability, I can assure you this has not increased the desire of anyone I know who has watched this with me to want to have babies. I think it has, in fact, encouraged the opposite. Also, note his full statement.
Framework to get people to make babies again without being cruel by...
The Hermetica has the framework to help people make babies again without being cruel. That's a weird addendum on that statement. Because you know that this guy has been thinking about like forced birthing programs. You like know that's gone through this guy's head.
increasing masculine charge. The Hermetica also has a framework on how to deal with the godlike technology we're developing, like AI, genetic engineering, the blockchain, the internet, and so many others. The Hermetica has also been integral to Western civilization already for thousands of years and is approved of by Christianity. If we just removed the elements in our worldview that are Marxist now and replaced them with the Hermetica, we could keep the rest of our culture. In fact, we would become more Western. The reason we're dying is that we're doing the exact opposite type of things the Hermetica would say, in that we don't discover new things, we don't challenge ourselves, we don't take responsibility or think outside the box. Maybe this is very weird, but our situation itself is very weird. We're going to have to think outside the box to survive, and I don't think you guys will get how bad things will be. Well, when everything's said and done, I'm just here. Peace. Follow your dreams. Bye.
You know, I respect just ending the video with like, peace. Always believe in yourself. I just, I got no words. And like, one of the worst parts about covering these videos is that this guy, right? This guy is paid attention to, you know, like he helps reinforce the things that go through Silicon Valley. Literally, you get like this is how you get Silicon Valley to be buying into these ideas, right? Like Balaji Srinivasan, he likes alchemy. His Web3 company is literally called Alchemy. Okay? And guess what Balaji Srinivasan has been up to lately? Just as an FYI. Well, he bought an island off the coast of Singapore to make a network state that he's named Founders Island. And yeah. He's basically making his own little techno-feudalistic society over there. And I guess we'll see how his decentralized network state works in operation in the future at some point. But he's not alone, you know, like Andreessen Horowitz is over here writing articles about how artificial intelligence is our alchemy, our philosopher's stone. We are literally making sand think. Like, all of these guys, they buy into these esoteric ideas. And when we suddenly get Rudyard talking about alchemy, and Silicon Valley is like spouting these ideas, it is little wonder that folks like Elon Musk actually watch What If Alt Hist videos and amplify them on social media. You know, it is not surprising. And it is worrisome because there has been an effort to create this entire other ecosystem of, you know, billionaires and the most powerful people on the planet who then just get reinforced with their nonsense, crazy, anarcho-capitalist ideas that are inevitably going to devolve into essentially the reinvention of the feudal system. It's where you get Yanis Varoufakis's idea of techno-feudalism. And you know, I don't think he's wrong about that. This network state idea, it's just the recreation of kingdoms, except with every billionaire tech entrepreneur being a king in their own right. And, well, What If Alt Hist is all too happy to serve as, like, one of the philosophers to one of these would-be kings. He's probably funded by one of those assholes. Well, yeah, he's literally part of, like, a Gen Z think tank. I plan to go over that in past videos. We haven't gotten to it. But he is enormously well connected because of his ability to move in these circles and ape their ideas back to them. And nothing pleases these rich assholes more than long-winded diatribes that affirm their worldviews. That's it. For the white people sex, sorry, I'm not sure what islands are used for. They're used for building their presumed utopias. Also, Balaji Srinivasan is Indian. He's not white. But you know, all of these tech billionaires or 100 millionaires are looking to buy their own islands to do similar things. One of the reasons, by the way, that the United States has been active doing a variety of things in Latin America has been specifically to buoy the chances of one of these network states for to succeed. I forget what it's called. I think it's Prospera. Prospera in Honduras, which was one of the reasons why the United States was getting involved in their election in the first place. It was to try and create a more supportive environment, we'll say, for the Prospera network state. Yeah, I would like to know who he's connected to, because I was shocked he was getting sit-down interviews. But then again, they worship Yarvin. Yeah, no, this guy is connected to Curtis Yarvin. This guy went on Balaji Srinivasan's podcast. I think he's in Peter Thiel's orbit as well. There's been a lot of intimation that he knows some higher ups. It's also why he's gotten on like larger podcasts. With all that being said, folks, we finally made it through. I promised you guys, I delivered, and it only took us over an hour to get through a 15-minute clip of What If Alt hissed. God damn it. With that being said, folks, if you got anything out of this segment, like, comment, and subscribe. And I also want to say I've mentioned the Mouse Utopia videos a few times now, or video a few times now. Apparently that was not uploaded as a segment on the YouTube channel. I have gotten that fixed. I just had to track down where it was in the live stream. So that'll be coming up and posted on YouTube at some point in the near future. With that being said, remember also to consider supporting the stream financially. Drop those subs, donos, memberships, super chats, and also consider checking out ImagineOlivia.com. My partner and I founded a lingerie company specifically to create feminine, comfortable lingerie for trans femmes. It's been designed from the ground up, so it is going to fit differently and better than anything else out there. And also, just throwing this out there, cis men, cis women, you can wear it too. Everyone in between can wear it too. Anyone who wants to feel feminine can wear it. We've tested it out with a bunch of different kinds of folks, and people like it. I don't know what to say. So check it out today. Go down to ImagineOlivia.com, especially with the holiday season coming up. You can also purchase digital gift cards for your loved ones if you are so inclined. But love the trans folks in your life, and check it out. That being said, let's keep on going. Whew. Ladies like a man in lingerie. It's true. I can attest to how good it is. Fuck yeah, Letzia. That killed more brain cells than 10 years of heavy meth use. I'm not surprised. Yeah. We did it. We made it through. It's done. Get out of here, Richard Wolf. Not your time. How we doing, folks? And please do consider dropping those subs and donos. You guys make this show possible. Let's see. Life is good? Hell yeah. How we doing? It is very late tonight. Doing great? Excellent. Well, folks, let's do some Star Trek. Are you guys ready for some Star Trek?
Together they run for the...
Let me see where we at. Okay. Star Trek 3 Redemption. What about Star Trek? We're going to be watching the third animated Star Trek.